Well, hello and welcome to this special one-off episode of the Photography Pubcast. We're all here. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
The only thing I was going to think, or I was going to say was, I'm not sure we can call it the Photography Pubcast anymore because hardly any of us actually do any photography these days. Maybe we should think of another name.
Old Farts Pubcast.
Yeah. Random chat with a couple of guys who still take photos.
I still
I'll
do.
tell you, before we go any further, Gal, you look quite svelte, actually.
Yeah.
Have you lost quite a lot of weight?
I have a bit, yeah. Yeah.
How much have you... Well, I shouldn't say how much have you lost, but how much have you lost?
Oh, I've lost about a stone.
Have
Yeah.
you?
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
You can see it in your face.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not...
Yeah, it's the misery.
Well done.
It's literally nothing to do with me at all. I'm not losing it because of me. It's I'm just taking these new diabetic pills, and one of the side effects is unfortunately weight loss. So no, I know I've been doing. Actually, that's a lie. I've been doing quite a lot of groundwork for the cricket club I play for, and so that's like a lot of sort of walking around and pushing.
Digging.
No, like mowing, really. Generally mowing, and but you've got to walk back and forward to the thing, and get this, then go back and get that, and then push the mower around, and then drive on the roller. That's my favourite bit. So yeah, I've lost a little bit of weight. Thank you for noticing, Daz. That's very kind of you.
You're welcome,
Thank you.
mate.
And you look great as well.
Cheers, mate. I don't
Shall
feel
we just
great,
leave you to
Yeah.
it?
If you go, we'll just have a little self-appreciation moment between us. I who's still taking photos? Dave, you are. Stuart, you are. What about the rest of you?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm taking them, I'm just not sharing them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just me then.
Well, I must admit, I haven't taken a lot in the last 6 weeks, but there has been a reason for that. But, I had a month up in the lakes in May. I took the whole month of May up in the lakes, and that was great. I've done a lot of photography, a lot of hiking. And with the hiking came the photography as well. So I really enjoyed that. And then I was back for a couple of days. Then I went into hospital. So I was off for another 2 weeks with because I just had my gallbladder out. Nothing major. But I went back to work, and I healed pretty well. I was really careful. They said no heavy lifting for like 6 weeks, which I did, but not stupidly heavy. And it was about the 7th week, because on our little group chat, I said to you guys, who wants to come to the lakes with me? I'm going to the lakes. And then a week before that, I was knocking down a wall upstairs in someone's house. They didn't ask me, I just thought I'd do it. And carrying all these rubble bags down the stairs. I thought I'd hurt my back, but it kind of turns out that I think I'd ripped something in my stomach, which was all to do with the operation. And I've never had kind of constant pain like it. I'm actually on 11 painkillers a day now.
Wow.
And today is the first day where I actually kind of felt like the semi-human, which I think is all to do with these new painkillers, which is not good because I don't know if the pain's there or not, or whether I'm healing. But yeah, so 11 painkillers a day at the moment, and that's been lasting for 3 weeks. So,
Are you back
So,
at work
yes.
then?
sorry,
Are you back at work then? Are you still working or not?
I've got somebody's bathroom ripped out. So luckily, I know it sounds crazy, but when I did what I did, that was the last kind of day of the heavy lifting. So from then on in, it's been quite a gentle kind of procedure. It's not been anything kind of major, but yeah, I've been finishing today. I finished at midday. I've been finishing kind of midday, 2 o'clock, that kind of time, which was like a real shame because I had that 2 days booked in the lakes, really looking forward to it, and this goes and happened. But there you go. Such is life.
Indeed.
But apart from that, what about you guys? I hope it's a bit more upbeat than my tales of woe. Obviously not.
Feel free to jump in at any time, anybody. Stuart, you must be doing something exciting. The life of a professional landscape photographer, there must be something exciting going on.
I wish I could say I was.
I see you've been to the cricket. I see you went to the cricket.
Yes, I was. I was at the cricket I'm probably a sort of long-time casual cricket fan. I've watched it for years and years, but never actually played cricket. It was one of those that I played loads of sports when I was younger, and there was just no time to do them all. And cricket was always one that I wanted to try my hand at, because I do a lot. Used to do a lot of racket sports, and I always felt that it would sort of translate quite well, but I never got the chance to. But yeah, I hadn't been to the cricket in a lot of years, and then I got the opportunity. Someone dropped out with a friend who had a couple of spare tickets to go and watch the Test match at Old Trafford. So we went along 2 days, first day, second day, got absolutely fried in the sun. It wasn't even that hot. That was the daft thing. It was just, you know, 'cause it's a long time since I've been to an event like that. It's quite similar, I guess, to I used to go and watch the British Open golf all the time, and that's a similar thing in that you're out all day under, you know, the sun, and there's no real shelter from it. And even if it's not that hot, you don't realise how much you know. I mean, I'm your typical bloke. I forgot to put sun cream on and all that, and just totally underestimated it. And then, was absolutely burnt to a crisp by the end of the day. But yeah, it was good. We saw Zach Crawley get that 189, and it was really good. And then, you know, the whole thing was left with a sour taste because the weather scuppered it at the end, which was not so
Wasn't
good.
great. I have to tell you a little story, because I went to the Edgbaston test. I went to day 3, the only day like in that part of the year that it rained, and we got to a point where we knew it was going to be rained off. I was already drunk. It was brilliant, because we just go to cricket, get drunk, and there's a stand in Edgbaston called the Eric Holly stand, and it's like like legendary for the abuse that they give to the opposition team. There's a guy called Travis Head who plays for Australia, and the abuse that guy was getting, I don't know how he coped it. He was literally getting dog's abuse there the whole time they were out. Went off for rain, come back on, and he comes sprinting over to the stand, like almost like, come on, give it to me, which I really thought was funny. But afterwards in the evening, we were out. It was terrible. It was awful. It was horrible weather, and it was like literally like there were just no women out in Birmingham at all. It was just literally all blokes. Anyway, we went to his pub, had a drink, and it's chucking down with rain, and I'm, you know, pretty drunk at this point, and I'm stood outside. We stood sort of like in the doorway of this pub, looking across at the walkabout bar. So, that's where everyone is. We're going to go over there. So we sort of stood, and I'm thinking like, it's chucking down with rain. When am I going to go? When am I going to go? Like, wait for it to die down a bit. And this Australian guy comes over to me. He's like, "You all right, mate?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Can I come in? Am I all right to come in?" I thought it was a bouncer. I was like, "You're not going to cause any trouble, are you?" He's like, "Nah, mate." I said, "You're not drunk, are you?" He said, "I am drunk, mate. I'm really drunk. I'm not going to lie, but I promise I won't cause any trouble." I said, "All right." I said, "Well, you come in, but any trouble at all, you're straight out." He's like, "Nah, mate. Honestly, I promise you, I'm not going to cause any grief." And then his mate comes over and, "I'm really drunk too. Can I come in?" I was like, "Yeah, go on, in you go. Get in there, go and get yourselves a drink, but no trouble." And then just walked off. which was interesting. Anyway, sorry, back to where we were. Have you been up to anything, Stuart? I forget I mentioned cricket. Have you been up to anything?
Apart from, I've been out with the camera a couple of times. To be similar to you, actually, Gary. I don't know if it's probably not that obvious on the camera, but I've lost a little bit of weight as well. I've been absolutely.
Do you know, I did
myself.
honestly. I did think that, Stu. I did.
You would say that
because I think Gary took he took the light away from you.
Took the
I
light.
thought he'd lost a little bit of weight there. But
I have, yeah. I've been doing a lot of training because basically the next sort of foreseeable future, I'm going to be heading back towards doing a lot more mountain photography, which is kind of my roots in landscape photography. And obviously, I'm reasonably fit. I can get up hills and everything, no problem. But I want to obviously be a lot fitter. So anyway, I've been doing a lot of training over the summer, so I've really sort of just got my head down with that more than anything. Photography's been a bit sporadic, but you know, it usually is for a lot of people this time of year. So I've just been sort of getting out when I can.
Okay.
Got to say, Stu, that I was going to say that newsletter of yours that went out, I read it through last week when it was the week before. Anybody that's not subscribed to that, I suggest you do. It's a cracking piece of work, and I think you opened up in there and I bet that took quite a bit of writing, the stuff that you wrote in there about your personal situation. Yeah. It tells a bit of a story, and it paints a real true picture of you and your, the struggles you've got at home as well as your photography. And I think it's, if anybody wants to know a bit more about Stu, I'd recommend you subscribe to that newsletter because it's definitely worth reading.
Oh, what's the email address?
Cheers, mate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What was that?
I said, what's the email address? I'm not subscribed. I'm sorry. I will do though. Now I will do. I've dropped.
It's all right. You don't have to.
I've dropped off a cliff with watching YouTube and being anything to do with photography. I don't know about you guys, but I watch hardly anything now. Very, very little. Yeah. I don't know why. I think it's just the time of year, and I've just lost my interest a little bit in photography. But I've dropped right off a cliff with it. So, but I will read that. I promise. I'll give you a full report next time we get together.
Oh, thanks.
I've been doing a little bit of macro photography actually.
Have you?
Yeah, I've been quite enjoying that. That was quite good.
Because you bought a macro lens, haven't you?
Well, I bought one about a year ago.
Yeah.
And never used it. And obviously, as I say, I was offered 2 weeks with the op, and towards the end, I just thought, I'll just go over the river, just with obviously the one camera, the one little lens, and nothing too heavy, and just play around in the morning. And we had fantastic weather. It was like brilliant sunshine, so it was great. I was only there for a couple of hours every day, but it was just nice to get out and do something a little bit different.
Okay. What about you, Dave? What have you been up to?
Been quite busy actually.
Yeah.
Bought a camper van and did a conversion on it. Well, I tell a lie, it wasn't a camper van, it was a van. It was an old works van, but I've built it out. Waiting for the DVLA to send me some documentation because I can't use it. It came with a brand new MOT, it's nearly run out now. So I spent quite a few weeks on that. Really enjoyable actually. I thoroughly enjoyed having a construction project. I've built it so that I can take all the stuff out. So I've got a sort of cabinet thing where I do my cooking and a drop-down desk so I can work from it. If I go on extended trips, I need to be able to take a laptop and be able to get online. Hence the Starlink thing, which is astonishingly good. But I can take all the cabinets out, so if I ever decide to sell it, I can just replace the van and put the cabinets in the new van because I'm a tight gib. You're not having my cabinets. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was a few weeks' work. I've rejigged the office, so kind of where I'm sat is completely different to where I used to be. So I've rigged it all up. I've got a new camera for making videos here. I bought a Panasonic G7 for about 220 quid. What a steal that is. A really nice 4K video camera. Obviously it's 8 years old, but off of MPB, because it's so old, they can't give them away. So I picked that up dirt cheap, and then it's all kind of plugged in here. So it just makes it really easy. I literally just switch it on. This microphone I'm using here has got 2 outlets, so it's got a Type-C USB, so I run it into my laptop for this sort of thing, so it's my webcam microphone. But at the same time, I can run a 3.5mm jack into that new camera. So it's just really handy. So I spent a fair bit of time getting set up, and I had to buy some studio lights because a very rich and famous person wanted me to do some work at their place and do some filming. I thought, well, I can't turn up with these little LED panels because I'd look like a schmuck and I'm going to send him a huge invoice afterwards. So I went out and, well, first of all, I tried to find a video where somebody reviewed studio lights, but I was really struggling on that one. And so anyway, I bought these lights and used them. And then because I've moved and I've now got room, I've set them up in here. So I spent a fair bit of time sorting this out. I've booked my trip to Norway, so I'm going up to Narvik in September, middle of September, so in just over a month's time. I'm going to spend a few days with a chap. Some of you might know him, a guy called Willie Jarl Nielsen.
Willie Nielsen?
I think he follows most of
I
us on.
like his music. I haven't seen
Willie
his photography.
Nielsen.
But
Apparently, he's the only person to outsmoke Snoop. There you go, Willie Nielsen.
I'll ask him about that. No, but he's followed me on YouTube for 5 years or more, and he contacted me just before the pandemic and invited me to go up to stay with him for a few days. And he lives kind of not far from Narvik, about an hour away, but not far from Lofoten. So I'm going to fly up and spend a few nights with him, and then he's going to ferry me about to all the scenic spots. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Excellent.
Cool.
So I'm just trying to picture where that is, Dave. So I've been to Norway.
it's
I
Norway,
flew into
Daz.
Oslo.
It's Norway.
Flew into Oslo, then on to Tromsø. So where is it in relation to
I think it's south of Tromsø.
south of Tromsø?
Yeah, it's inside the Arctic Circle.
All right, so it's quite high up then.
Oh yeah.
It's like round the corner from Lofoten, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So he's got a summer cabin on a fjord and a house in a village called Borkenes on a field. Everywhere's on a field.
Sounds hideous, don't it?
Yeah.
A summer cabin there.
Well,
the
when
other-
I'm chatting to him on the iPad and we do this FaceTime stuff, and he sort of turns his iPad around and said, "This is my view," and I'm sort of thinking, "God, I've got this lovely lake in front of my house and I can't hold a candle to his view."
Wow.
So looking forward to. But as I say, it was all due to happen in 2020, and then we got rain stop play. So we finally got it organised.
Talking about that, I will come to you two guys as well about what you've been up to. But it feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? This whole COVID thing. Isn't it weird now how you say pre-COVID and post-COVID? A bit like sort of a BC and AD type thing. It's really weird. It's really, really weird. It's like, oh yeah, that was pre-COVID. It's like, you mean like 5 years ago? Very strange. Anyway, what have you been up to? Let's go with Sam. What have you been up to, mate?
Not a huge amount, to be honest. Very similar to you, Gary, I think. And my photography is kind of... I'm still taking photos. I go out, as Stuart was saying, this time of year, I'm one of these people that sort of struggles a little bit. And I still take photos, but I tend to sort of get home and just sort of put them on the computer and might edit them. But I tend not to sort of... Yeah, I'm normally not very satisfied with them. Just sort of... I've kind of fallen off social media. I've given up on Instagram, not looked at YouTube. The only thing that I've been looking at on YouTube recently is sort of a few sort of Monroe hiking channels. There's a guy who lives in Inverness. I think it's called Scotland Monroe Journey or something like that, and I've been following him for the last couple of years now. But he's absolutely brilliant. And I find him quite inspiring because he climbs a lot of mountains around he's climbing all the Monroes. I've been watching a lot of the mountains he's been climbing around me. So I've been watching that sort of thing. So going out and doing a few walks and taking the camera with me, but just not filming it, not sharing photos publicly, that kind of thing. So just because I don't want to. I've got... I think I was put off a little bit earlier in the year, I think... because I had a load of YouTube videos which I had recorded and was planning to edit and just didn't have time to edit them. So we just kind of sat there on the hard drive, and now it's the case where they're all kind of like autumn winter videos, which feels weird to put out now. And it's kind of like the longer you leave it, the more you don't get around to doing it. And there was actually I got a bit annoyed at one stage where there was a guy kept pestering me to give him a shout out on the channel, and initially I thought, actually I quite like his story. I don't mind giving him a shout out. So I said, yeah, I'll do it in my next video, thinking it will probably be a couple of months down the line. And he just kept badgering me, and it kind of got to that point where I was like, do you know what? I make YouTube videos because I feel like doing it. I'm not going to feel pressurized into putting videos out because I don't want to. And it's just sort of put me in a situation now where I'm just like, do you know what? If I get time, I get time, and I do it when I want to. But I'm just not going to worry about sticking it out because of any external pressure whatsoever. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. So I'm kind of enjoying it a lot at the moment, and I'm enjoying the photography when I do it a lot more at the moment, just because I'm just purely doing it for myself. There's no ulterior motive, and I've actually been absolutely loving that. And the other thing I'm doing, similar to you, Stuart, is I'm starting to try and get myself a bit fitter as well, because I've been hiking up a few Monroes recently, and realising that now that I'm working 40 hours a week sat at the desk, it's not doing my health as much any good. Last year, because I was doing up the house, I was active and it was fine going out and hiking up a mountain, and now, having spent the last 6 months just sat at a desk, I've really felt it, so I've decided I'm going to try. I bought myself an exercise bike, so half an hour every morning before work I'm on the exercise bike, and I'm hoping it's going to make life a little bit easier for when I'm doing Monroes at a weekend. So.
Has all that house refurbishment paid off? Are you getting any Airbnb business?
Oh, we're not opening up the Airbnb.
Oh, you're not?
Yeah, we weren't. One or two reasons meant that we were not able to without. I won't go into the details here, but there were various barriers that came in place that meant that it would have cost us tens of thousands of pounds basically to try and get it opened.
Wow.
So we gave up on that idea, and we decided we don't need it anyway. Now I've got a good job up here. I'm working from home. You know, we like our space. We don't really feel the need to open it up, so we're not going to open it up.
Okay.
Just before we move on to Jamie, do we know this person who's been badgering you? Because I'm just,
I was just looking. Sorry, I don't think I was being rude, Sam. I was actually looking. There was a guy that I follow on YouTube, and for the life of me, his name's just popped out in my head. I was going to send you the link or share it with you, but he's a Scottish guy, and I want to say RS or something, Scotland's Mountains. He is so good. He really is. I don't watch him as much as I watch people like Hazy, but I will find it, and he's really worth a look, actually. Brilliant guy.
Yeah. I think Scotland. I think that's Murray Wilkie, is it? The Scotland Mountain guy. He's brilliant. Yeah. He was actually. I think I was watching his channel before I sort of got into photography. I highly recommend that. But there's another guy who's only been going a couple of years, and his channel's doing really, really well, because it's just hiking up Monroes. He's doing all the Monroes, so every video is a Monroe. And I think it's Scottish Monroe Journey, I think is what it's called, but I'll find out. And
have you noticed how he sidestepped your question?
I still want to know the
Gary,
person who's badgering you.
I'm not going to name who it is.
Do we know
he's not.
Do we know
is he a professional photographer of 12 years standing from Mid Wales by any chance?
Oh no. No, he's not. I won't name who he is. He's not on YouTube. He's not well known.
Okay.
Well, he's not well known. I won't mention who he is.
Well, if you're watching, leave him alone. Leave him be. Let him do his own stuff.
He's left me alone.
I got an email yesterday, it was, just from YouTube saying, we see you haven't uploaded for a while, and we understand, things are busy and you might be taking a break, but if you don't upload within the next 30 days, we're demonetising your channel, and you will have to reapply.
Oh.
I'll just reapply.
So you're going to lose what, £7 a month?
Yeah,
At least, Dave. At least, yeah. So
Why
I
did
might
they do
just be
that?
on. I don't know.
What happens if you break your leg or have a heart attack or whatever?
It did actually say that. I know circumstances, might have been that's the reason why you're not. But yeah, if you don't upload in the next 30 days, then. But I've even got rid of Premiere Pro at the moment, because I thought I'm just paying for that and I'm not even using it. So
while we're here, actually, I'm sure everyone wants to know how much money the Pubcast has made in the last 28 days, because that seems to be an ongoing thing. I can tell you now, it's 67 pence. It's made 67 pence in the last 28 days. Yeah, and we've lost 4 subscribers.
11 pence each.
Yeah. We've lost 4 subscribers, and we've.
No, you blew it all on a day out in Edgbaston.
I did. No, yes. I can tell you, I've been all over. I've been country hopping. I have in the last few weeks. I've been to Margate. Believe it or not, I went to Margate with my mate to watch the Human League. That was an experience. And I've been to Blur at Wembley, which was good fun. Anyway, enough about me. Jamie, what have you been up to? We'll save the best till last, because I know Jamie's going to have some cracking stories. Well, by the way, we're doing a segment later, which Jamie's really looking forward to, but we'll get onto that later. What have you been up to, mate?
But we haven't done you yet, though.
Oh, yeah, we have.
Yeah, we have. We talked about cricket.
Yeah, I've been to.
That's because you nodded off.
Yeah.
So did I, Jamie.
Yeah, probably
Talked about
did.
cricket.
Yeah, cricket does that.
He spoke about cricket for about 20 minutes, and then apparently it was a draw.
I can tell you, I got drunk at Blur, and we were on the pitch.
To Human League?
We were on the pitch at Wembley, and I got lost. I got lost in Wembley on the pitch.
On the pitch.
On the pitch, yeah. So we were standing up, and
Yeah, a bit like Harry Kane.
I got lost. Very much like Harry Kane. And I went to the worst pub in England, which was in Margate, but the pints were cheap there. So we went to this pub. I've got to tell you this quickly. Sorry, Jamie. We went to this pub, and it was...
See, there's no stopping.
You know, like,
Yeah, there ain't
you know,
no.
like sort of, if you watch sort
Poor
of
old
a
Jamie.
1980s The Bill, and they went into a pub, like, you know, that sort of thing. Imagine that. That was where I went in Margate. And there was a guy in there, and he was... literally, we were watching the cricket because the cricket was on. Sorry to bore you, and we only went in there because it was the only place in the Margate showing the cricket. We thought we went in this pub, and there's this guy, and he went to the jukebox, and every song was like Alexander O'Neill or Luther Vandross or some sort of 80s soul, and he was like, "Turn it up, turn it up." It's 11 o'clock in the morning. It's like, turn it. It was like a disco going on, like an 80s soul disco going on at 11 o'clock in the morning. And there was a lovely view out the window of these sort of 6 or 7 homeless guys all drinking, you know, sort of White Lightning and Special Brew. A lovely place. Anyway, Jamie, what have you been up to?
I've not lost any weight. I'm not training to go up any mountains. I've not got a van that I've done up in the yard, and yeah, I've got nothing really exciting. I had a lovely week in Turkey on holiday, which was great. Came back with a bit of a tan and a full belly of all-inclusive food. I bought a new camera and some new lenses, you know, as you do. Swapped that out.
Oh, go on.
And I've
What?
used it
I
probably
missed that.
2 or 3 times since I've bought it. That's about it. Huh?
Well, come on, tell us about the camera then. This is news to me.
Well, yeah, the thing is, I just bought a camera. It's no big deal, is it really? I just swapped out the Sony because I don't know really why I swapped out the Sony. Maybe because I just wasn't in love with it. I just didn't feel as though it was... When I was taking pictures, I was confident they were going to be good pictures, and I know that's complete rubbish, but that's just the way I felt. I didn't have any confidence in it. And I decided I was going to go and try something new, so I went to Nikon. So I've got the Z7 II, the same as the one I think Stu's got, and if he's not changed by now, I know he's talking of changing, but anyway, that's the story.
I'm back and forth on it.
Yeah, fair enough. So no, I went for the Z7 II, and I got, I've actually got 3 lenses for it now, because I've just bought the 14 to 30 as well. But I bought the 24 to 120 and the 100 to 400, because I originally had the 24 to 70 Sigma lens on my Sony, plus the G Master 100 to 400, and I loved that G Master lens. Never really got on with the Sigma, but one of the main reasons I moved was I'd heard that the Nikon glass particularly was of really good quality, and it was there was a good range of glass to choose from, and I just wanted to try something a bit different, really. Particularly the Z7 II seemed more geared up to my style of photography. So more woodland, landscape stuff. You know, it's not, you know, whereas the Sony and the Canon, the rest of it, they're more, I guess, hybrid cameras for people that want to do wildlife, portrait, landscape, whatever. But the Nikon seemed more geared, or the Z7 anyway, seemed more geared towards my style. So I thought, I'm going to change it. Change as good as the rest. See how I get on. And I must admit, although I haven't used it that often, as soon as you pick it up and use it, you do start to feel, well, I started to feel a lot more confident with it, shall we say. It's a lot easier to use. The menu systems are a lot more straightforward. And I must admit, that glass is pretty shit hot. I'm really, really happy with the quality of the RAW files that are coming out of it so far. And I'm quite interested and in a way, a little bit excited to have a go with that 14 to 30. It only just landed this week. Because I've never really done any wild wide angle photography. I always struggle with wide angle stuff, particularly in the woodland. I generally would avoid it anyway. But one of the reasons I thought I'd go for it, because in where I go a lot, which you guys know, in Holme Fen, they've got a lot of really interesting root systems that are in that peat bog that come out the bottom of the trees. And I'm thinking there's got to be an opportunity there to explore some of those root systems and go in really close and use those as some foreground leading up. And I don't know, I just want to try something a bit different. I went to a place not far from Holme Fen. That was the only place I've been to probably in the last couple of months, which had an old mill on the side of a river. And I shot that at 24mm, which was the widest end of my lens. And when I shot that and using the sky, I thought, actually, it'd be really nice to sort of see what else I could do with this by going in close and making that shot wider. But of course I couldn't. So yeah, I've decided to give that a go and see how I get on with that, really, just to try something a bit different. So, But yeah, that's me. So nothing exciting on the personal front, on the photography front, a bit like you guys, bit thin on the ground, but hopefully it will soon pick up.
Well, what a miserable bunch we are. Can we get some love in the comments, by the way, for Jamie? Because he's because we love you, and because I sometimes look at you and think you don't appreciate how good you are, like as a photographer, and also in this podcast, you're a really valuable, important member.
Oh, shut up!
And we need to give you a bit more love. So in the comments, I love Jamie because ... Finish it off. And I'm expecting at least 10 comments with that. Otherwise, I'm going to be very disappointed in you all, and we may just stop recording altogether. Right, so let's move on to something else now. We can either talk about photography, or we could talk about something. Jamie, what do you want to talk about?
Nice.
Like it.
All right, so let's talk about.
You've used your joker now.
Yeah,
you can't use it again.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've applied it for this whole section, though, that joker. And that's going to be one of my rules moving forward with this podcast, that I'm allowed to play a joker if I want to. You can give me so many a year, maybe, and I'll take that as a...
One.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to need more than one. But I need to play a joker, and I'm playing it. That's my joker.
All right, I tell you what. Well, let's talk about photography. Let's talk about something to do with photography, so you don't have to play it yet. All right. Okay, so I come.
Oh no, he's already played it now,
Yeah.
so it means he's got
Yeah.
to play the other one that he didn't
Exactly.
want to.
Another game.
You're out. You're out of this one. That's a good point, Dave. Actually. So I was reading this article. I don't know where I come across it. I think it must have been on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck it's called nowadays. And it was it's from where is it? I don't know. Amateur Photographer magazine, and it's why is so much landscape photography dishonest. So basically, this guy was essentially saying who is, by the way, I'll give you the author's name, and we'll put a link in the description to the
put a
article.
link in, 'cause it was an interesting read.
Yeah, so you
actually.
guys can read it. Perhaps if you stop, pause at this point, have a little read, and then come back, and you'll know what we're talking about.
Don't invite them to pause; they'll never come back.
It was by Jeff Harris. Does anyone know Jeff Harris?
No.
No. Okay. He's deputy editor of. I can tell you that. No, I'm not going to read through the bio. Anyway, basically, his point is that people often moan about landscape photography as cheating when people put things through Lightroom or they put things through Photoshop and they change how it looks and they use filters, etc. And he's more saying it's cheating if you don't take an actual representation of what's in front of you by leaving out the people that are in it or the car park that you had to drive to get there, or that sort of thing. So what do we all think about this rubbish? What do we all think about it? Does anyone want to start? I reckon.
Well, I couldn't read it because I'm not an amateur photographer. So
You didn't
I can't, I'm playing my joker on this.
I did think it was a little bit of a bizarre read, I must admit, because I think if you're taking a landscape shot and there's a load of people, because he used like a beach to illustrate his point. I mean, to me, that's more of a snapshot or a record shot of the activities of the day or what's going on at the beach. But that to me is not a landscape photo, unless you choose to put people in there, of course. And I just thought that, you know, we all try and take photos that are perhaps quite art, or you can call it art if you like, you know, and you try and point your camera in such a way that's pleasing to the eye.
No,
I don't think.
no. He says that the image with the people in it is an art photo. The people
It isn't art.
No, it is the art
it is.
photo. Yeah, without
don't
it,
think
it's a
it is.
hobbyist. It's a mainstream hobbyist photo.
I don't know what he means by that.
Oh, do I? No idea.
What was his name?
I don't know. I've forgotten. Let me scroll back down to the bottom. Jeff.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps Jeff wants to come on the Pubcast and have a little chat with us about this.
It's confusing. It's a really confusing piece, I think, which is why I sort of brought it to you guys, because it's like, it's almost like I just want to write something controversial for the sake of it. You know, I don't know.
Who does that?
It did feel like that, didn't it? It did feel like he was tapping away, then just sat back with his arms folded.
Yeah.
I thought, you know,
It's like a classic Stuart McGlennon blog.
Listen, that blog has aged like fine wine. I'm telling you. Anyone go and read it.
Yeah, we'll put the link to that down too. Actually,
I thought this article was just an absolute load of twaddle. It was just written by someone that clearly doesn't know his arse from his elbow, basically. But like you, Gary, it didn't. Well, I think the comment I used in the chat was just muddled. He didn't seem to have any point. He was just rambling. And what was worse, and I'd said that I've seen this over the years, especially on Twitter. It's not so much now, but it used to happen a lot years ago. There was a collective group, they called themselves, called Inside the Outside. Very catchy name. And they were very sort of straight, documentary type landscape photographers, if you like. And, you know, very much wanted to sort of pigeonhole themselves into that. And they often set themselves up on Twitter, similar sort of thing, controversial posts, trying to rile people up and pit one type of, well, in this instance, landscape photography, but different genres of photography against each other in some sort of competition. And it's, you know, most of the time with people who do that, it's often an attempt to just try and, you know, validate what they're doing. And that article was just a classic sort of case of that, you know. I mean, he's trying to suggest that, you know, like you're saying, if you got a landscape place, you know, well known for vistas or whatever, and you don't photograph the car park behind you, you're somehow cheating. I mean, the reality of what you're photographing doesn't change. It's just the artist or the photographer's intent. Your intent is not to photograph the things behind
Well, I
you.
think it's ridiculous to suggest that if you turn up at a location, that it's necessary to validate yourself by putting your camera in all 360 degrees and taking whatever happens to be in the areas that you wouldn't normally point your camera at. But I read it twice, and I entirely agree with you, Stuart. I don't think he really kind of got to a point. It was
it's just waffle.
It was really badly constructed rhetoric. But if Jamie hadn't played his Joker, I'd love to know what he thinks.
yeah, too late now.
Too late,
Too
man.
late.
No, I've got some thoughts. I just think it's a load of rubbish, isn't it? It's down to us what we want to take pictures of. I'm not going to rock up to Home Fen and take a picture of the dog shit bin, am I, in front of a nice-looking silver birch tree?
You are if you're an art photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's the point? You know, I'm not interested in taking a picture of that. I want to take a picture of a scene that's nice to look at and that others might enjoy looking at, rather than looking at, as you say, a car park or a wheelie bin or. Yeah, but I take pictures of the dog walkers heading through the fen. That's fine. That's part of the context.
Does it depend how
of people
good looking they are?
But
the
the thing is as well, going back to the beach thing, I mean, when we go out, if we was to go to a beach, 9 times out of 10, we would go there for perhaps sunrise. And there isn't nobody on the beach, especially in the summer. You won't get a dog walker going out much before 2 hours after sunrise.
unless
around
there's an absolute flat piece of like lovely untouched beach,
pristine,
and then you're
guaranteed.
guaranteed
Then you're guaranteed
to get a dog walk.
But I mean, the thing about it is, if you go out taking pictures of people on a beach, sure as eggs is eggs, some bruiser's going to take your camera off you because he thinks you're trying to take a picture of his 10-stone missus in a lovely bikini, and you get into all sorts of bother.
No, but my point is, if we go out at sunrise in the middle of summer on a beach, there is nobody there anyway.
No, there's nobody on
Do you know
my
what I mean?
beach.
So we're not altering what's in front of us because there is nobody there. And we go out at that time in the morning because we want to go out for sunrise.
Yeah,
or
but there's
golden
always a
hour or
dog
something.
shit bin in the car park you can shoot.
I think the point is, though, like Jamie said, actually, you hit the nail on the head. It doesn't matter. It does it matter? If you want to take a picture of a pristine beach or a lovely view of moorland or a mountain with no one there, great, take that picture. If you want to take a picture of a beach with loads of people on it and a bin and whatever, take that picture. What does it matter? Why have this conversation to say, oh, well, if you take that, you're an art photographer, but if you take this, then you're a hobbyist photographer. You take what you want. What difference does it
Well,
make?
Jeff's got some column inches to fill
He
on a
has.
monthly basis. So
Jeff, can I just say,
he's scraping the
he's
barrel.
been working on magazines since 1995. He's a keen travel and portrait photographer when time allows. He's reached the final of the Pink Lady Food Photographer of the Year contest in 2015 and has achieved the licentiature from the Royal Photographic Society the year before. And he's a wedding photographer.
No, innit?
So, you know, he knows what he's talking about.
I bet his wedding photographs are great, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a dog shit bin. Sorry, love, hang on a minute.
The thing is with this stuff, the thing that really gets my goat with some of this stuff is that the type of photography that he's sort of championing here, which is what I think the people who do this type of photography call it conceptual photography, landscape photography. That's absolutely valid. You can go and like take pictures of dog shit bins and whatever you like. Do it. There's no problem with that. There's room for both approaches. But whenever this has come up in the past, it's always, without fail, the people on that side of the fence that are doing all the mudslinging. The people who do traditional classic landscape photography aren't sitting on this side of the fence trying to justify it. And, you know, your type of photography is crap. You're just taking pictures of fences and bins and stuff. No one cares. It's always on that side where those people have this sort of, you know, insecurity possibly about what they're doing, that they feel like they have to justify it. It's not a competition, you know. Just like, do what you like. It's not any more valid than classic landscape. It's just a different type of photography.
And I can definitely see the value of, say, as a photographic project, maybe taking photos of, you know. So a good example is, I don't know if you guys know Theo Bosbin, but Theo Bosbin's a landscape photographer who does a lot of photography up in Iceland. I think he did a project a few years ago where he was photographing people, as in the tourism of Iceland, to show how crowded some of these areas are. And that's a good example, I guess, of what this guy in the article is trying to sort of say, of, you know, taking photos of not just the pretty landscape, but also the human impact. And as an artistic project, great, it's fantastic. But once it's been done, it's been done. And, you know, it's a separate thing from what most of us guys do, which is, you know, our purpose for going out is to try and capture the landscape. So, you know, we don't need to have a van in it every time because we're trying to capture the landscape. And you know, for us as well, because we don't do AI stuff, and we don't overly process our images. So we're not the sort of photographers who produce an artificial photograph of the actual landscape. Most of our images are pretty representative of the landscape and being processed well. So, you know, that's what we're trying to do. That's the purpose. And that's ultimately, I guess, you know, it comes down to what your purpose of trying to photograph, or trying to create the photos that you want to create are. And the thing that annoys me a bit about these sorts of articles is, in a way, it almost feels like they're trying to make people feel bad about the sorts of photography that they enjoy doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is just a completely pointless exercise for the sake of, you know, just creating an article for the sake of creating an article.
And I do think anybody that is kind of watching the Pubcast now, please go to that link and have a read. It's only kind of a a 5 or 10 minute read, and then you'll know exactly
Yeah.
what we're referring to.
And there aren't any
comments.
big words in it, so you'll be fine.
Of course,
I'm just
Jeff
joking.
succeeded. Jeff succeeded now because we've now published that link to all of the podcast
Yeah,
audience. So
well,
all of the
that's okay.
readers
Yeah,
will now be.
both of
That's okay.
our viewers will tune in and
There you
have a
go.
look.
Yeah, so his job done.
I commented on that Twitter thread, and it's the most bloody traffic it's had since he posted it. Because I just put something like, this is Twaddle, and then loads of other, oh God, yeah, this is Twaddle, this is absolute Twaddle. What's he doing? You know, so he's I suppose he's got his wish. But when he's writing this
Cheers,
as if
Jeff.
he's writing this article as if he's reinventing the wheel and made fire. He's not. He's talking about this stuff like, it's like a new concept or something. He's just regurgitating stuff that's been discussed since the dawn of time. It's nothing new. But he's talking as if it is, and absolute rubbish.
You see that a lot in media articles, though, don't you? It's just we've got to keep putting articles out and fill the columns somehow, and
A bit like YouTube,
especially with something
isn't
like and YouTube exactly. It's hard to find original things to write about sometimes.
Talking of that, can I just? Are you guys probably aren't looking at YouTube a lot in the last few months, as you said earlier on, but I've noticed there seems to be a trend for people to talk or want to create a video about why pros do this. This is why a pro would get this
God,
lens
I laugh
out.
at these.
Why the hell is that all of a sudden become a trend? Do this because pros do it. Have you not noticed that?
I
It's just
have.
like,
And what are we meant to be doing, Jay?
well, that's the point.
Well, pros
Dad.
do it, so you got to do it.
Yeah, it's like use this lens and use this aperture because that's what pros do.
Is this the new 7 tips?
It seems
Probably.
to be, Dave. Yeah, it seems to be a new. But I've noticed it. And it's not just one person I'm singling out, but I've noticed several.
Who are you
different
singling out,
YouTubers
though?
have
If you
stuff-
were
I'm
singling
not-
one out,
no,
who
I'm
would
not
it
singling
be?
anybody out.
Is it Jeff?
And I've said this many times before. These people have got a living to earn, so I'm not knocking them for trying to get some revenue from
Well, which
YouTube.
people
I
have got a living to earn?
It's just
Right, yes,
it's
you
just a question about why all of a sudden pros doing this has become a topic for a thumbnail.
What, because
I
an
don't know.
amateur photographer would look up to a pro photographer and say, please show me the tips I need to be a better photographer?
Yeah, but if you look and watch the video,
Oh, I'm not saying these
it's got
guys.
nothing to do
Yeah.
with being a
No.
pro photographer.
No.
Well, I went out with a pro photographer back in May, Mr. McLennan, and I actually needed him to tell me that my ARCA Swiss ball head of 6 years is not actually an ARCA Swiss ball head at all, and that's why I'm struggling with my ARCA Swiss L bracket, because he said, and I said, no, it's ARCA Swiss, and he went, are you sure? And I went, well, yeah, of course it is. I've got an ARCA Swiss like L bracket. It is a bit tricky. And then he went, mate, that's really not an ARCA Swiss ball head. And that's why all of this time I've been having problems with it. And as
Was it
soon
for-
as you said it, I got really bodily about. So I went back and I got my other head, my other adjustable head, and put that on. Yeah.
Was it the blue tack that gave it away?
Well done, Stu.
So technically, either of you could release a video going, pros knows this. Pros
Pros
know
know
this
this. Pros
about
knows.
ball heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. With a
And,
tick.
and you wouldn't
with a
get
big tick.
demonetized.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
an arrow.
Yeah,
You need
a
an
tick
arrow.
and an arrow.
Arrow, yeah.
Pros know this, tick, arrow.
And a shock face.
Yeah, like that.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, Manfrotto. He was using the Manfrotto clip.
Oh, what an amateur.
Idiot.
What an amateur. There you go. I'm going to write an article next week.
Pros know it. Daz doesn't. Daz,
Daz is
there
an
you go.
amateur.
Daz doesn't know this would be a great.
Daz doesn't. What Daz doesn't know
Ain't worth
isn't
knowing.
worth knowing.
An occasional series.
What Daz doesn't know this week. That's next on the next season of the podcast. That's what we're going to do. What Daz doesn't know this week. So if you can think
Yeah.
of things you don't know for next
Mate,
season, we're
there's
in.
loads. There's
Excellent.
loads. There's loads.
Yeah, that's the known unknowns.
Yes. It's what I'm not even going to go there. I was going to say conscious competence, but we'll forget about that because no one knows what I'm talking about. and I've had a few beers. So Jamie, shall we? I'll tell you what. So basically, before we move on, we've just all come to the conclusion that article was rubbish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't read it.
Okay. And if you're watching, Jeff, which you're not, then come on and defend yourself and happy to have a conversation with you, because he looks a bit hard actually, Jeff. If you look at the picture on there, he looks like he could it looks like he's smiling at you, but there's a fist below the image when I'm going to have you. So, because it's a smile, but it's not really a smile. It's more.
The thing is, you're going to be shocked now if
aggressive.
somebody that watches this actually knows it.
You're a
and says-
bouncer, so we're all right.
I'm a bouncer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're fine.
You're a
We're fine.
bouncer.
Yeah, we're fine.
You should have taken money off them, by the way.
I did get a hat out of it, and if I can find it, I'll post the picture of me wearing the hat. I was also wearing this sort of this khaki shirt, which made me look like I was in I'm a Celebrity. So it was an interesting evening all round, really. If I can find the photo, I'll post it up.
Well, just very before we move on, my boy Sam, he's in Australia at the moment, and I think he spent, was it 6 months, perhaps 7 months in Brisbane, which he loved. But in order to get his second year visa, he had to move to Darwin, because over there you can work in any industry in order to collect your 88 days.
Oh yeah.
And then get your second year's visa. And he hated every second of it. And he managed to get his second year visa, and he put up a lovely GIF the other day, and it was of Jamie Bullard when he's in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and he's in this kind of thing where I think he's getting cockroaches dropped on him. And Jamie Bullard said, I knew I could do this. Now get me out of this shithole. And that was Sam's kind of reaction to getting himself out of Darwin.
I really, really want to correct you and say it's Jimmy Bullard, but I'm letting it
Jimmy
go.
Bullard.
Yeah,
What did I say?
Jamie Bullard.
I'm not going to do
Sorry,
that.
Jimmy Bullard. Sorry.
It's totally wrong to try and
Well,
correct you.
thanks for putting me down on episode 1.
It's not
Sam
episode
says
one.
no, two.
Is it not episode
No,
1?
this is just a
Oh,
special.
thanks for putting
This
me
is
down
the summer
again.
special.
Yeah.
The
The
summer
insults
special.
are right up there.
Or I
Yeah.
might not even
This
come
is
back
just-
for
just a
episode. What
special.
would the next season be? 4.
Season 4, yeah.
Wow.
Season
Yeah,
4.
can you believe it? Season
When are we
Judging by
starting
this,
then?
it's
When are we
not gonna
starting
happen,
season
is it?
4?
Well,
It's all gone quiet, hasn't it?
I don't know.
If Jeff sues, we might be out of business.
Yeah.
Jeff can't sue us. We've got no money. Well, I haven't got any money. He can't sue us for saying that what we think he says is rubbish, can he? Can he do that?
He-
I don't.
That's defamation.
No, it's just opinion. Oh my God! Look, here it is. Here it is. Look, look.
Oh, that's bad.
That's the hat
What's
I got
that?
from that
You're
guy.
like Boy George.
Is that you in the middle?
Yeah,
Bloody hell.
yeah. And my young and better looking friends. Anyway, we'll cut that bit out. So, right, okay. Surely we won't get cancelled, will we? Surely not.
Oh, it could happen, mate.
Yeah.
Could happen. Everyone's getting cancelled.
Yeah.
That's what we should do. We should try and get ourselves cancelled.
I just did, but you told me to cut it, which I have. So there's no mention of anybody being anything. Okay.
It's interesting to see how many views this one gets, doesn't it, really? You know, after we've been off for so long, whether anybody's going to be bothered to watch us again now.
We seem to do all right. We seem to do all right. We seem to get about the same number of views regardless, I think.
60 pence worth.
Yeah, 69.
Loyal fans.
Yeah.
Loyal fans.
Do you know what? I think tuppence of that could have been me, because I actually watched when we said we was going to do this. I was at work the other day and I listened to a couple of our old Pubcasts.
So did I. I listened to the extremely long one that we did, the one before the last one, which was the official last episode. That was hard going. That was hard going.
I don't even watch them like when we just done
Why you
them.
put them up?
No.
Yeah, I listened to him at work. Well, not that, but I did. I listened to him at work along with Gary's.
Yeah, but
Norman's
you
wisdom.
lot write in and say, what an amazing edit, Gaz. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, then I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, it's just politeness, and it's just like.
Oh, is
"Thanks
it? Oh,
very
you're not
much,
actually. Oh, okay, right.
I don't want
Amazing
to
edit, Gary.
No,
Brilliant.
if nobody
well
tells
done.
Dave, I literally cut him out of it. People don't even know you're in it, Dave. To be honest with you, I cut you out totally of everything.
Excellent.
When
that
it
means
says-
I can say what I like.
You know
doesn't
when I say welcome to the podcast, the 6 of us are here this week. It actually goes welcome to the podcast. The 4 of us are here this week. I dub over the top. Shall we move on to another topic now? Let's talk about now. Unfortunately, Jamie's used his pass on the last topic,
he's
so
got to play this one.
No,
he's got to go.
I'm using it again.
So, Dad,
Seriously, this topic, can I introduce it? Because it's a load of shite.
of course you can. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this topic is if you're on a desert island, I noticed in the actual comment, rather than a desert island. If you're on a desert island,
Do you know what, Jay? I've just looked at it.
Sounds
And
like a nice
you are
place.
right. Who come up
What-
with this idea? Moving on. Go on, carry on.
if you're on a desert island or a desert island, whichever one you choose, what would be, and you needed to take one author of a book that you like reading or one film director of a film you like watching with you, which one would it be? Yeah. And that's fine if you like reading books or you watch a lot of films and you pay attention to actually who directs them rather than whether you enjoy the content, then that's fine. But for somebody like me, I don't do either of that. I don't read books and I don't watch films. No, I do watch films,
What
but
do
I got a
you
clue
do
who
of a
directs them.
night? Just stare at the wall.
No, he's just got Cheeky Girls on repeat.
he counts his
He's,
fingers.
he's only pissed off because the Cheeky Girls haven't
That
directed
takes a long
anything or
time.
written
Having
anything.
said that, Dave, that could take a good 4 or 5 hours
What, counting my
before
fingers?
bedtime.
True enough. So anyway, yeah, I'm just putting myself out there as just not having a valid opinion on this topic at all. So I'll be really interested to listen and sit back and listen to your content.
Well, I'll tell you what, then you
can,
okay, because I misspelled that. You can go, rather than taking an author or a film director, you can take your favourite dessert.
sticky toffee pudding. Actually,
You
no.
didn't
Can I
have to
change your
think
mind?
about that long.
Apple crumble or rhubarb crumble. Apple crumble probably with cinnamon and custard.
You
But I
spoilt
do
the
like
cinnamon.
rhubarb crumble as well. Homemade though. My mum makes a cracking rhubarb crumble. So yeah, apple crumble.
You
Final
sound
answer.
so old.
Like I said in the comments, I love Jamie because ... Just stick that in for us. That'd be great. That's it. That's your contribution to this.
Yeah, that's it. Seriously, that
you
is
must
it.
have
Yeah.
heard of Quentin Tarantino.
I've heard of somebody called, is it Martin Scorsese? He's a director, isn't he? I've heard
There
of
you
him.
go.
I wouldn't have a clue what he's directed, but I know he's a film director.
Goodfellas.
Steven Spielberg, I've
Wolf
heard of him
on
because he
Wall
does
Street.
Jaws.
Steven Spielberg.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott. You must have heard of Ridley Scott.
Oh, Alien, yeah, I did know that. See, I actually probably do know a few. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I've probably stolen the top 3 from your lists now.
No, well, I would have taken either Quentin Tarantino, but I went for Martin Scorsese. Definitely. Brilliant. I couldn't live without Goodfellas. I watched that a lot, that film. And Wolf of Wall Street. Have you not seen that, Jay?
No.
Mate, you've got to watch that.
You've not
I've
seen
seen
Wolf
American
of Wall
Werewolf
Street.
in London. Is that the same?
Not quite, no.
Oh God.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Okay, Jamie, what's the last film you watched?
Wizard of Oz.
Barbie.
Oh, Mission Impossible, whatever it is, the latest one that's just come out of the cinema.
47.
And how was that?
That was alright, it's good. I liked it.
Do you want to talk
I
us
ain't got a
through
clue
it?
who directed
Directed
it,
it.
though. I ain't got a clue. I don't know who directed it. But I liked it, I enjoyed it. Gonna go and see Oppenheimer soon as well, if that's supposed to be a good one. But yeah. Pass. Can you pass it to somebody else now? I've had enough of this. I'm just talking tripe.
You're
I'm talking
comparing
tripe
this.
for the sake of you wanting me to talk tripe.
You're comparing this section, Jamie.
Yeah, this is
You're
this
running
is you.
this bit.
You introduced
Yeah.
it. You've got to go round us now and ask us.
Come on,
That's how it works.
earn your pass.
So Stuart, what's your favourite book or film director that you would take to and eat a sticky toffee pudding
Just
with?
bear in mind as well, you've got to respond to him as well. You've got Jamie. You've also got to respond to Stuart and say, "Oh, I get that because." Yeah.
You're too good at that. Gary. I can't take that one.
No. You go for it, mate. You'll feel free. Go on.
Go on,
Sorry.
Steve.
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, I used to read a lot more when I was younger, but I find, I don't know whether it's just time or inclination, but I'm not a big reader anymore, to be honest. If I'm ever reading anything, it's usually the sort of audio book stuff in the car. But films, I mean, you've probably listed half of them. It would be a toss-up between probably Christopher Nolan and probably Scorsese. I'd maybe have said Tarantino as well, but he's not. He's only done a sort of select few, hasn't he? But probably Christopher Nolan, actually. I like his films that sort of make you think a bit. And I really liked Inception. And what's that one that it goes on? Interstellar. That's the one.
Oh,
that's the only film. Yeah, and it's about 3.5 hours long or something,
Yeah.
isn't it? And I sat and watched that with the missus, and I don't want to. I'll try and say this without me bashing her. That she wouldn't be that into
doing.
Yeah, watching stuff that isn't too deep, I would say, isn't, you know, she's not into watching stuff that, you know, you really think about that much. But she sat through that for 3.5 hours, absolutely, you know, glued to it.
Hello, is that Mrs. McGlennon? You'll never guess what he's just said.
There's no diplomatic way of saying that, is there? But yeah, she sat and watched that the whole way through, just absolutely, like, you know, which is probably a good measure of how good the film was, I guess. But yeah, probably Christopher Nolan, I would say. Yeah.
Are there any Christopher Nolan films you'd recommend, Jamie?
Yeah, that one.
That one.
Yeah.
I've watched that one. That Interstellar. I've watched that. It's good. I'd agree
Yeah,
with
it's good.
with
Very good, isn't
Stuart's partner. He's definitely.
He did
worth watching,
Oppenheimer
yeah.
as well, Jamie, if you're watching Oppenheimer. So.
Yeah,
Really?
Oppenheimer,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And the
definitely
Batman
watch that one
films.
now,
He
then.
did the Batman films as well. didn't
Batman,
Oh, my son's
Tenet.
he? Yeah.
Tenet that come out.
Oh,
a couple
that's
of
a
years ago.
that's
That
a
was very good.
weird film. That
Weird.
is.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
very
Has anyone else watched Tenet?
Yeah, I've watched
Yeah.
that.
Tennant, isn't that where a
No.
load of Scottish people get
No,
drunk
no.
in a field?
Yes. Tenants extra.
Thanks to all our
That was
Scottish
really
viewers.
good, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And your dessert, Stuart? What dessert would you take to a desert?
Dessert.
Yeah.
Dessert. Dessert. I quite like a creme brulee. Every now and again.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, creme brulee. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Right. Sam, what's your choice in this fantastic topic?
Well, I'm going to go with books and films, if that's okay. So books. I do read quite a lot, and I read all sorts of stuff. Like I read pretty much anything. But my go-to, if I could only take one author with me, would probably have to be Tolkien. I'm afraid. I know it's a boring choice, but I was one of those geeks when I was a teenager I used to read Lord of the Rings like every year. I must have read it about 15 times or so. So I'm kind of like, although I'll read everything, and I'm not, my sort of go-to genre is fantasy. So Tolkien's kind of the classic one. Although I'd also be tempted. There's a series I'm reading at the moment by a guy called Brandon Sanderson, which is called the Stormlight Archive, which might be overtaking that at the moment. I'm absolutely loving that.
Going to make a note of that.
Yeah. When it comes to films, again, yeah, probably similar to Stuart, really. I think Tarantino's probably got to be on there. I'd be tempted to put in a shout for Denis Villeneuve as well. He's not made a huge number of films, but the ones he's done are stunning. He's doing the Dune films at the moment as well, which also links in with my science fiction fantasy.
Any films from him you'd recommend, Jamie?
I've got some of his aftershave in the cupboard, I think.
And I'd stick Ridley Scott in there as well. And it's a bit of a Marmite one. I know a lot of people can't stand him, but I'm also a bit of a Wes Anderson fan. So, yeah, I quite like not all of them, but some of his films I like.
Okay.
Star?
And
Is that Star
Sticky
Wars?
Tops.
Wes Anderson.
See, Jamie's running this beautifully. This is.
It is, yes.
What is
Star
Wes Anderson?
Wars?
No, is it
Star Wars?
No, was it something? Not Star Wars. No. What did he do then? Go on, give me a film from Wes.
Wes Anderson
stuff, doesn't
did.
Star Wars?
No, he did like the Royal Tenenbaums. He did.
I'm thinking of somebody else then.
He had a film out
Oh,
recently
yeah,
which
yeah.
I've not seen, about Asteroid City or something like that.
Asteroid City, that's just come out.
Really, that was the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
Star Wars. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'd be a sticky toffee pudding for my dessert.
Of course you would. Of course you would. Talking of fantasy, if you like fantasy, and going to video games a bit, did you know there's a new Baldur's Gate 3 that's just been released? Did
Is
you ever
there?
play Baldur's Gate? It's like a bit of a Final Fantasy RPG thing. It was one of the original ones. In that sort of Okay.
No,
What always amused me was
I-
that Final
I mentioned
Fantasy wasn't the Final Fantasy. There's about 27 of them. How is any of them the Final Fantasy? Final is kind of definitive. And that explains why you're not very cultured, because you're dicking around playing video games.
No,
Yeah.
not anymore. No, my sons do. I played Baldur's Gate when it first came out, and I think I introduced my sons to it because they've just downloaded the latest version and just wiped out my Wi-Fi internet speed for the last 24 hours downloading some 1,000 gig file to their computers. But yeah, sorry, it's just changing the topic completely. So, Dave, your film and book and dessert, please.
And it's getting longer, this list. So I have a question. How long am I actually stranded on this desert island? I mean, because that affects my decision-making.
A couple of years.
Okay. Because what I was thinking was, author, if I'm not there too long, would have been Steinbeck. But I would have read those quite quickly, and having read them 100 times in the past, I think I want something that keep me more occupied.
Yeah, I've read Steinbeck so many times. It's just
Yeah. Okay. So I kind of thought to myself, well, on that basis, it would be Stephen King. Slightly more populist.
that's a good shout, Stephen King.
Yeah.
Because his canon is huge. But I do like Steinbeck, I'm afraid. And or on a sort of sci-fi, very big, thick books would be Peter F. Hamilton. Because he's got an awful lot of work that would keep me amused before I'm waiting to be rescued.
Any
Film
Steinbeck
director.
films books you like, Jamie? Any Steinbeck books particularly?
No, I don't play piano. No.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Film director, quite easy for me, would be Eastwood. I love when he acts
Yeah.
and directs. I mean, Gran
91,
Torino.
still going. Is
I
he
could just-
91 now? Still going?
Yeah, I could watch Gran Torino one
That is a
loop.
brilliant film.
Any
Gran
film
Torino.
where some scroats get their comeuppance
Yeah.
is almost orgasmic for me.
I tell you what's another great film by Eastwood. I don't know if he directed it, Unforgiven.
I don't think he directed that.
Oh, that's such a good film, though.
I think that's a bit early doors for
Yeah,
him
sorry.
directing. Anyway,
Carry
and as for dessert, probably waffles with vanilla ice cream. Thank
Sorry,
you for
just
asking.
before we move on, Dave, if you like films with little scroats getting their comeuppance, have you seen Harry Brown? I don't know who directed it. but-
Another great film.
Oh
seen
no!
that.
Let me make a note of that.
Oh,
Hang
that
on.
is
Mate,
so
well,
good.
I am not a big Michael Caine fan, but that film with Michael Caine, honestly, one of the best films yet. Harry
Getting-
Brown.
It's also got Walder Frey in it,
Yeah, it has.
and the
Oh,
and
he's
the,
a good
and-
actor.
And the little scroat who's the bad guy is Plan B. You know the singer
the
Plan
rapper,
B.
yeah.
yeah, he was the druggy guy, wasn't
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
he? Yeah.
I just think that the judicial system is so lame, and you get these people that do horrific things and they're out in 3 years. I just like movies where people get what they have coming
Yeah,
to them.
watch
Yeah,
watch
that's
Harry
great.
Brown,
I've-
mate. You'll
I've
love
made a
Harry
note.
Brown.
I'll be searching
you'll
that
really
later.
enjoy that.
That is a good film.
So, Gary,
Thanks, Jamie.
have we? No, thank you, Dave, for that contribution. It was very valid and interesting.
You
Gary,
lying bastard.
have you? Actually, because I haven't got a clue what you're talking about, mate. To be fair, but that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, I guess. Gary, over to you, sir. Any interesting books and films and
books
desserts?
wise, I don't read. I don't read books. I genuinely don't. I can read, but I just choose not to. Yeah, I can actually read, but just.
You can read contentious articles.
Do you know the last book I read? Genuinely, the last book I read that was a fiction book was Star Wars: The Return of the Jedi when I was about 11, and I only read that because it had pictures in the middle of the film. Choose Your Own Adventures. Fantastic authors on Choose Your Own Adventures. Very, very good. As for films, see, everyone's taken up all the ones that I would have gone for, like Tarantino or Ridley Scott or that sort of thing. So I don't know if he's a director though, whether he's the director or the writer. But I'm going to say Edgar Wright, who did the Cornetto trilogy with Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he directed it or not. So
What do you think of World's End?
I loved it.
Did you?
See, for me,
Disappointment, mate. Disappointment.
well, because the guy's name was Gary King, you see.
Disappointment.
And it was also filmed in Letchworth, where I used to work.
Again,
So
disappointment.
what's not to love about that? That for me, that was one of the best films of the trilogy.
I can't believe we're having a cultural discussion
No
about
way
fucking
was that
World's
the
End.
best
I'd say
one.
it was at least the third best.
Well, it was definitely the third best. Yeah.
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 No, I yeah. So I don't know. Probably Tarantino, if I'm honest, because he's made some great films and he's made some shit films as well. Let's be honest, but he's made some great films. So, you know, the Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, brilliant. Inglourious Basterds, brilliant. Jackie Brown.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Do you know that again? Jackie Brown and that film underrated because a lot of people said that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a bit slow, but I really enjoyed it.
That's by far his
Yeah,
best
I wasn't
work.
a big fan of
I
that.
really
haven't
By
seen it.
far
enjoyed
his
it.
best work.
No, I
I
thought
wouldn't
it
say
was
it was
great.
bad, but I wasn't. It wasn't, you know.
Yeah, it's quite intellectual though, wasn't it?
Thank
And
you.
he
Not saying that
reckons
does
he
against you.
I rest my case.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino said that was his favourite film.
Yeah, well,
Thank
because
you.
he
I rest
rewrote,
my case.
Essentially, he rewrote history, didn't he? That's why, because it's about the Charles Manson murders, but it's these two fictional Hollywood characters, the guy and his stuntman, who ended up stopping the Charles Manson murders. So it's kind of, you look at it, you watch it, and go, "Huh, okay, well, he just killed it," you know. But it was because it kind of changed history. But yeah, so you know, World's End. And as for dessert, I'm going to say, what would I have for dinner? Not chocolate. You know, probably apple pie. I love apple pie. Apple pie and custard. Custard's underrated. Definitely.
Is that the thumbnail? Is
No,
that-
I was going to say that's
With an
got to
arrow.
be the title for this.
Of all of the dessert toppings, custard, because everyone goes, oh, ice cream or cream or what? No, custard. Custard's
Pros do
underrated.
this. They have
Yeah,
custard.
pros eat this. Okay, yeah, that's me.
I'm with you on custard.
Well,
Daz,
that
so
went
did
well.
we? Thank you, Gary.
That's right. You're welcome.
Did we cover yours? I know you voted Tarantino because I called him out with my knowledge of film directors in the first place. So is that yours, or have you got any others that you want
No,
to
well,
contribute?
I think for me it was. I think I'd have to take Martin Scorsese, but I don't know. It would be a toss of a coin. It really would. I'd be if I was on a desert island, and I got landed with either two directors. I'd be happy with either or. But my author is Martina Cole. Has anyone ever read anything by Martina? Cole?
Wow.
Martina Cole's
Okay.
The Take. The Take.
Did she?
Yeah. Haven't read it,
Yeah,
but I just remember that was dramatised.
She's had a lot of TV series dramatised, hasn't she? from the
Well,
books?
She's a bit
I've
gangster,
read-
isn't she?
Yeah, so it depends what you like. I mean, it's if you don't know anything about Martina Cole, pretty much all of her books are. I'm not saying they're all the same, but they are all the same, really. They're and if you picture, you know, the kind of 1950s or 1960s East End Cray kind of era, and it's that kind of theme. It's kind of, you know, kind of like London Irish.
Rugby
the
team.
criminal underworld. It's very gritty, and I'll tell you what, I watched the take. I read the take, and then I realised BBC had grabbed hold of it, and they'd done like a 3-part kind of series on the book, and their main character in the take is a guy called Freddie Jackson, and I just thought, oh, who are they going to get to play Freddie Jackson? Because you know he's a massive part. And I watched it, and this actor who got the part of Freddie Jackson was incredible. And I just thought, God, this guy is really going to go places, or at least I hope he goes places, because he nailed that character. And that actor turned out to be a very young Tom Hardy.
Wow, I love Tom Hardy.
He was so good in it. So yeah, so for me, I've probably read or audiobook listened to at least 10 or 12 of Martina Cole's books, and I'm probably not even halfway through a catalogue. So yeah, so for me it would be Martina Cole, Quentin Tarantino, possibly, or Martin Scorsese. And I must admit, I've got to go with a couple of you guys. Actually, I would go with apple pie, but I would be boring, Gaz, and I would go with ice cream.
No.
Vanilla ice cream.
No,
Can
custard.
you have both? You have custard and ice cream.
You can have custard ice cream, but that's a bit bastardising the custard,
Yeah.
isn't it? I'd have more custard. If someone said you
We
can
need
have
to be
this much
vanilla ice
custard
cream,
and some ice cream, or more custard, I'd say I'll have more custard, thanks.
Do you know what I can't believe is that nobody else is taking notes, because there's been so many interesting recommendations that I'm going to check out Sam's stuff and Darren's stuff. Not yours, Gary, because yours is rubbish. Stuart, can you remind me?
Yeah, but Dave, we don't need to take notes because we watch the Pubcast back.
That'll be
There
it.
is someone. There is someone actually who I don't know who they are. An author. I've got no idea who they are. But if I was going to read a book, I'd read a book by that author. I don't know who
Is
they
it
are.
Wisdom?
No, not Wisdom. No, they do like historical books. They do fiction based on sort of like medieval
Hilary
times.
Mantel.
Well, like
No.
Hilary Mantel.
Didn't Hilary
Ken-
Mantel write stuff about hotels?
No,
No,
Wolf
she did
Hall
Wolf
was
Hall.
absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no,
I
not
loved
Wolf Hall.
that.
There's someone who writes
it-
books about Henry VIII and that sort of thing. That sort
Yeah,
of
that's
era.
Wolf Hall.
That's
Is
Hilary
it
Mantel.
Hilary Mantel?
Yeah.
then?
The other one
Yeah.
might be
They are
Ken,
very good.
The other one might be Ken Follett, who
Yes.
did
Yeah,
Pillars
Ken
of the
Follett.
Earth.
Could be Ken Follett. I think it was Ken Follett.
You see, Sam and I are well read.
Yeah.
If you need to know anything, call Sam.
What's next, Jamie? What's next?
I'm handing it back to you now.
No,
'cause
you can't
I thought
hand
I'd
it back to
compare
you,
that
yeah.
fantastically. No, I'm interested to read the comments in this podcast to see how much of our
Which
audience
bit?
are
I
very-
like Jamie because.
No. The bit about
I think the
books.
best I like
Yeah.
Jamie because comment should get a free print from Jamie.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Actually, next season when we start, we should do another competition, like photograph.
Okay.
You know, photography.
You mean we're going to talk about photography?
Yeah. No, you know, like
Books and
people
films.
enter photographs. I pick all the bad ones and say they're great, and then
I
you
thought it was
guys
going to be who could be the most offensive. I'd win that.
I don't know.
I've been practicing.
Have you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do
good
you
idea,
think,
though. I think we should.
Daz? You with us, Daz? You look like
Is
you're
he
looking.
is he checking his
I
email?
was actually just checking some of the other topics and that I put in. I just think, is there any spelling mistakes in there?
Have you got a topic for us, Daz? Do you want to go with anything before we go? We've got
Well, I put
plenty.
it, do you have a minor regret from your past you wish you'd acted upon? And the reason I say that is, do you know, I wish I would have done, looking back, I wish I would have done the Duke of Edinburgh.
It's very specific.
I know, that's a real...
I wish I'd done the Queen Mother.
Yes, offensive, Dave. Well done.
Oh, there you go.
I really
1-0.
regret that. I
Pre
think
or
that'd have been
post-mortem, Dave?
Oh,
What?
Oh, I've been trumped. Bloody hell.
Duke of Edinburgh, you say, Daz. Why?
I'd love to have done... because I just think that would have given me a lot of good life skills for today. I still can't.
Well, like
read a
climbing,
compass.
climbing hills,
Walking about with your hands behind your back, saying,
still-
"And what do you do for a living?"
learning how to
I
build a
still don't-
raft and that
Yeah,
sort
I
of thing.
still can't read a map and compass. You know, there's a lot of bushcraft skills. Yeah, that would have been really good, that. And I just thought it was a load of old nonsense when I was at the age where I should have been doing it. But there you go, see? Looking back, that's a regret. That's not a bad life, is it? If that's all the only regret you got.
So Daz, your regret is not doing the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme. Does anyone else have any regrets? Minor regrets. We're not talking major regrets like marriage or joining YouTube or doing the podcast. We're talking minor regrets. Does anyone have any minor regrets? I reckon someone does.
Yeah, I've got maybe a couple, which are sort of related. So if I can have two, I'd say first of all, not taking up photography earlier, because I did when I was about 18. My uncle was a professional photographer, and he gave me one of his old cameras, and I used it to do a little bit of photography, and that's where I guess I first started doing photography. But then I was living in London at the time, and I wanted to do landscape, and I just never, and it was a film camera as well, so I just never took it any further until many years later, and I regret not sticking with it because I really wanted to do it at the time, and I just, circumstances at the time, I never took it up properly. And sort of related to that is I regret not filming more when I was in the band, because it was pre-YouTube time, it was it was first days of Facebook sort of time, and we had crappy phone cameras and whatnot. And now not having a record of those sort of 5 years or so when I was doing the music is a big regret of mine. It sort of is and it sort of isn't, because when I do see the little clips that we do have of when we were in the band, it's kind of embarrassingly bad, sort of seeing myself as a 22-year-old mucking about. But I would like to have far more better quality video footage of the time when we were doing all the gigs and festivals and things like that, because we just don't have any.
Can we get hold of any of your music? Is there a link anywhere? Are you on Spotify or?
We've got a YouTube channel actually with some old clips on it.
Why have we not
And
seen
we've
this
got
before?
some
Get
tracks.
writing, Dave.
Got
Get
to put a link.
writing.
Got to put a link in, Sam.
I'm definitely
Alright.
And what was
I'll
your
send
band
you-
called?
Revolution, which was always the crappiest name as well.
I bet you spelt the V backwards as well, didn't you?
Yeah, the V was backwards. Yeah,
Just to be
Yeah.
different. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah, we all hated the name, but it kind of just stuck.
Okay, right. Well, we're going to put a link in the description so you can go and listen to Revolution. That's my DJ bit. Did you like that?
Just going back to
You sound like whispering Bob Harris there.
just going back to my regret, right? And I said I can't read a map and compass. Yeah, because I get up about 4 o'clock every morning, so I've been awake for an hour and a half at this point. Helen came down the other morning,
And you hadn't worked out how to get out the door.
and she all blurry eyed, and I said, "Oh, darling," I said, "Look, I've got I said, look, do you fancy doing this?" I said, like, you haven't got to, but I've got something planned.
Are
for
we
us."
still talking about the map and compass here?
Shut up. So she said, oh, she goes, what do you want to do? So I said, look, I'm thinking about going away to the Peak District for the weekend, me and you, on a map and compass course. And she just looked at me and she went, "Can I just wake up for a couple of minutes before I process what you've just said?" But I thought that was a lovely gift. a lovely weekend getaway. Me and Elle was in the Peak District.
If I ever need to get divorced, I'm using that.
Yeah, it was just the way she just looked at me. She just went, "Can I just have a couple of minutes to process?"
Hold that thought. Hold that thought.
Turn that bloody kettle off.
Would you like to come on a map and compass course to the Peak District with me? Did you hear what she said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, carry on.
That was it.
Oh, okay. Stu, have you got any Have you got any regrets? Minor regrets? Is
I
it a map
was
and-
struggling-
You didn't get on a map and compass course somewhere, possibly, or no?
I was struggling a bit until it came to me there. Similar in terms of the photos that Sam was saying. I seem to. I mean, I've always been one that sort of, if I'm out, the cricket or football games and stuff like that, I'm not one to sort of get the phone out. So I like to, experience it. But yeah, I do wish I'd taken more photos, especially sort of in my early 20s and up to sort of 30. I was looking at this the other day, and I've seemed to have a big sort of void in my life where there's just like zero evidence of anything that I've done. And obviously it was, it's much easier now because we've all got camera phones and stuff, but you've always got a camera on you, so it is easier. But yeah, I've got about 10 years of my life where there's just very little evidence of anything. So yeah, I guess taking more photos is a pretty good one. I do wish I'd taken more photos in my early 20s, I would say, because I did a lot of stuff during that time, and just don't seem to have any evidence of it.
That's a really good point, actually. I bet a lot of us are like that. I've got no photos from literally when I was a kid to when I was about 30. I've got nothing. So I don't speak to my mum and dad anymore. Well, my stepmum and dad. So I've got no old photos. So if anyone says to me, "What were you doing?" I can't show them. Can't show them anything. I think the first photo I've got that's actually of me was when I was about 31. So probably for the best, really.
Yeah, see, I don't think I'd like to see many photos of me kind of as a late teen, early 20s.
No?
Why?
Not really. Well, it's just fashion, isn't it, really? Like, at that kind of age, you're, playing around and experimenting with fashion and stuff. And
Yeah, but that's what makes it fun. You can laugh at what an idiot you were, and
exactly what an idiot you was, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
but
I've got a photo of me. I would have been about 11 or 12, dressed as a mod. Because on the estate that I grew up on, there was late teenagers with the scooters. It was the second generation of the mods kind of coming back, And I bought one of their Parkers, one of their fishtail Parkers. Yeah, so there's me with a trilby hat, stay pressed trousers, jam shoes. Yeah.
Did you have an RAF roundel on the back?
I think I did. I think it might have been on the side, actually.
Got to have one of those Target.
Yeah.
Do you know, I remember being about 9 and going into my nan and asking her if I could be a mod. And she said, "Don't be so silly and go back out and play."
Yeah. I couldn't afford a fishtail, but I had the Harrington with the same things on the back, the Target and the Madness thing.
Yeah.
And the stay pressed trousers and the loafers. Luminant green socks. High up. Not the socks.
I
the
think it was
trousers.
white socks. I think I tried white socks, actually.
Luminous
See,
green.
I'm old enough to be at a jam gig, and everybody's wearing that sort of crap, and I've got got a suit and tie on, feeling quite out of place, really.
Yeah, the old slim ties, wasn't it? It was the old Ben Sherman's, very slim.
Yeah, but
Oh,
mine
really,
was
yeah.
what I wore to work in a bank. 3-piece suit, big knot.
I used to have a luminous socks and luminous fingerless gloves, but that was when I was wearing
That
my
was in the
Frankie
80s,
Says
wasn't it?
Relaxed.
Yeah, that would have
Frankie
been late
Says Relaxed
80s.
teabag T-shirt.
Yeah.
And my cap that I'd written Electro on in that. Do you remember that pen you used to get that was you used to press it in, press the pen in, and it was like a metallic. You have to press it in to get the paint out, and then you used to write. No, I had one of those. If anyone had one of those, please make me feel better.
You still get them, Gary. I've got a few.
Oh, cool. I used to write. I wrote Electro on it because we used to buy these albums on tape called Electro 5 and Electro 4, and like sort of breakdancing sort of stuff. And yeah, very sad, man. I was a young boy. Yeah. Do you know I went to a swimming pool once when I was about probably. This memory sticks with me. I was probably about 11 or 12, and I went to the swimming pool, and I was a chubby boy. I'm not going to lie, I was a chubby boy, and I had my my trunks on and nothing else. And this probably 14 or 15-year-old coming to me, and he went like that. You all right, darling? That sticks with me. That sticks with me. That sticks with me now. I still remember that. Makes me feel like just not quite right. That's not a minor regret, by the way. That was just something that happened to me when I was younger. Who hasn't been? Dave, you haven't been.
I haven't been. I'm kind of with Sam on the music regrets, but my band was pre any sort of mobile phone photography.
Hang on a minute, you had a
like
band, that's right. Have you got any links to your music?
Well, this is actually, it kind of tempers the video regret or photographic regret in that the music that we have was studio recorded because the stuff from gigs was awful. And I've still got that, and I can't see myself, so I quite like it. So yes, I've got an album or two.
Can you stick some of that on YouTube so we can have a listen?
What are we going to do for visuals? Mine.
Well, no, they do that nowadays, don't
Sorry,
they?
I'm still thinking of the All Right Darling.
Beep, beep.
That's sexual harassment these days.
You can probably AI generate it now anyway, Dave.
I probably could actually. Yeah, I mean that's minor abuse, Gary. Daz is right.
It's sexual harassment.
Exactly. It shouldn't be allowed. I think you should.
My boobs weren't even that big.
So on the basis they weren't very big, you grew them.
Oh, I've yes, they're much. I hadn't come in. My milk hadn't come in at that point. So.
Excellent. Oh dear.
That
so
actually genuinely happened, by the way. That does still, like, I still have, like, not often, but yeah, I do. Yeah, I still have flashbacks about that. Sorry, Dave, carry on. Forget about my tits.
Yes, sorry.
My regret is not walking up to Gary and squeezing his tit.
There's still time, Dave.
Well, when can you get here? No, I have. See, Sam said something really cogent, and I thought, oh yeah, I could certainly relate to that. And in the intervening period, it's descended into.
Sorry, Dave.
Sorry, Dave. Carry on.
Gary
No,
shouldn't have said what he said. That just hit my funny bone.
He shouldn't have. You're right. No, seriously though. Actually, my regret is not about not getting into photography earlier, but it's not getting into different genres earlier. I did some street photography earlier this year and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh.
And I just decided that I'm going to do more different types of photography than landscapes because I really enjoy it. So I've got this topless model booked.
When? Is it me?
The money's good, Gary. The money's good.
Stu's done a bit of that. By an old mill.
I have.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't told that story on here, have I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
did I? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You shared that. What about you? What about you, Jamie? What's your minor regret? Is it not watching enough films?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, to be able to answer Daz's stupid questions more confidently. No, the only one I can come up with in the brief break that we had was that I totally regret not moving the master socket from the outside wall to the new outside wall in my extension so I could get a decent broadband. That is a big regret of mine. If I'd have remembered to do
that's not a bad life, is it, really?
No, that is my regret.
Jamie's biggest regret in life is not having faster broadband.
Yeah. If I'd have thought, I could have had full 5, I could have had Starlink or whatever it is that Dave's
Get in
got
touch
without
with
having to pay a
Elon. You don't
fortune.
need to drill a hole. You just stick it in your garden and you get 250 down and 50 up.
Is that
Do you
seriously
have to
it?
have a big X on your roof as well?
Come on, Jay. It's got to be better than that.
Is that
mate.
sick?
Come on,
That can't be it.
That can't be.
You said minor regret. It's a minor regret. It's not a major
Okay,
regret.
Is it not having more fingers amputated earlier on?
No,
Is it that the cheeky
I'm happy
girls
with my
aren't,
fingers and all of
aren't
my
triplets? Come on, there must be.
You're never ever going to stop talking about the cheeky girls there. No, that's it. I'm having the master.
Is it that Cotton Eye Joe was just a one-hit wonder?
This is becoming abuse. They're talking about you're abusing.
Yeah, they
me now.
didn't.
Go
They
on.
didn't follow it up with Jap's High Jim.
There must be another thing. Come on, there must be something else that you regret. There must be.
No, that's it.
Nothing.
Joining the Pubcast.
Yeah, no, that was disallowed. Gary declared that one earlier on.
You got through your whole life, and the thing you regret is not moving your sockets.
No, hang on a minute. Put this back into context. You said minor regrets. If it was a major regret, I could have thought about something more significant.
Yeah, but I'm not talking negligible regret. I'm talking slightly
That's a big
minor
regret.
regret.
It annoyed the hell out of me when I didn't do that, and now I can't get full fibre. It's a bloody regret. I should have done it. It's my fault. I should have done it.
I'm sorry. I didn't realise it affected you that much. I'm sorry. I feel really bad for you now.
Do you like flagellate yourself or?
Sorry? Pardon?
Self-flagellation, it's a common thing amongst people with regrets.
Oh. We could say with Paul Broadband.
Is it? They do
Just
that.
imagine him walking up the high street with Nout on and somebody with a bell going, shame, shame.
I didn't realise self-flagellation was such a thing with when you regret. Because I don't regret that much, but I self-flagellate often.
This is petering out, this one, isn't it? Have you noticed?
We haven't got to mine yet. Can I tell you what my regret was? My regret was that I didn't go and do. I wanted, not really not repping as much, but like just going abroad and doing like trying to get people to come into pubs.
When you said, like Ibiza repping.
Yeah, but I remember.
I thought it was posh rapping.
I remember going on holiday when I was about mid-30s, early 30s, and I was like, I'm really good at this. I managed to get people
being
to
on holiday.
No,
We're all good at that.
no, there was this particular
pissed.
No, there was this particular bar that I used to drink in every night, and the guy said to me, if you can get people to come and drink in this bar, I'll give you free shots. And I used to get people like in droves to come into this bar.
Did you pretend to be a bouncer?
No,
Is that how it worked?
no. I just sort of said, "Oh, come and have a drink in here," and everyone would
What
come.
was you wearing? Did they think it was a
Australian gear.
transgender bar?
I was topless. I was topless, mate. And people just went and then came in. I was like, you can have a feel if you come in.
This has been the 1990s for the easily confused. I don't know what's going on.
I had a beard. That would have given it away, surely. No,
Is
I
this
was
what you were
really
saying
good.
to those Australians as well?
No, genuinely, I was really good at it. I was good at getting people to come into the bar, and like literally, they'd be like, "Oh, where are we going next, Gary? Where are we going next?" I'm like, "Hey, you don't need to go anywhere. Just carry on drinking in here." So they all stood in this bar, and I was getting free drinks. So I was literally going there I was there with my mate, he was an odd bloke. He used to call, well, I won't talk about him. But anyway,
So hang on, you went on holiday with an old bloke.
no, not an old bloke.
Oh,
No, he was an odd bloke.
oh odd.
An odd bloke.
He said
an odd
old.
bloke. Yeah, no, he was. Yeah, we used to go on the beach. We went on the beach, and he'd be in like
Speedos.
jeans and
Thong.
he'd be in jeans and a
Nipple
shirt,
tassels.
jeans and a shirt, and
Middle of the
and
day.
Dr. Martin boots, and he wouldn't take them off, no matter how much I begged.
Did you want him to?
Which resort was this? This
This was Cos. This was Cardamina in
That was
Cos.
Greece.
Bournemouth.
Yeah, in Greece. Yeah. No, I was.
Margate, apparently.
I was good at. I was. Don't go to Margate. Lee Pellin. You live near there. Don't go to Margate. But yeah, no, I was really good at it, and I wish I'd have gone there when I was actually younger and single and could do it all. It would have been great because I was really good at it. And I don't think I paid for many drinks on the whole holiday. I used to just get free shots the whole time. So that was my minor regret.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
1830s rapping.
1830s. I was thinking about this when he said he's got a 1430. I was like, oh, that's a bit young to start. When you were talking about your lens. What happened to 1830s holidays? What happened to
Well,
them?
the whole club scene has disappeared. That's why people. If you look at towns now, kids don't go out in nightclubs anymore because
no one goes out, do they? No one goes out anymore.
I think the scene's still there. It's just now 30 to 40s. It's the same people just doing it.
Well, I'm 50. And it's dead. Where I live, it's dead now. You can't. There's no way you can go out. No, like literally, no one goes out anymore. Whereas in the 90s, it was thriving.
I only go to places where you can get in with a senior card.
They're my kind of places, Dave.
You had the super clubs, didn't you? Though now that's all kind of gone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would go to a big nightclub at the end of a night, whereas now it's just lots of small bars. And
No one wants to drink out anymore. No one wants to go out and drink. They all want to go round someone else's house and have a drink.
it's because people got no money. That's why.
Yeah, probably. Bloody conservatives.
I'll tell you what, we should this episode, the photography pubcast, and we should put a big cross through the photography section because there's been so little photography talk.
We talked
In
a
this
little
episode.
bit
Because we haven't done
That's
it.
because none of us are photographers anymore, by all accounts. Except
I'm not
me.
going to call it that. I'm not putting a cross through it. I'm going to put pros talk about photography like this. That's what I'm
Oh,
putting.
do it, please
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah,
You've got.
I am.
That's a great. Yeah.
Yeah,
do it.
pros talk about photography like this. I'm going to
That's
find
the
a.
title.
Yeah, I'm going to use Dave and Stuart. They're going to be
not
my
me,
two
I'm not a
main. No,
pro.
you are no. You don't watch it, Dave. It don't matter. I'm going to use these two. I'm going to put pros talk about photography like this.
Yeah.
So if you could both go like that now, thumbs up. Stuart, brilliant. Right, I'll use you two, and then that'll be it. That's my thumbnail sorted. Dave's not
Dave's
frozen.
frozen, not
No,
rigor
he's not.
mortis.
He's not frozen. He's making it up. He does it all the time. He's good at it though.
He is good at
He is
it.
good
yeah.
at it. Yeah.
He should be
You
at
could
Leicester
just see-
Square,
He was slightly
Covent
moving.
Garden.
Anyway, on that point, I think we should probably say goodbye. Thank you for watching. We'll be back. When will we be back?
Autumn.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of late September, I reckon. Is everyone good for late September? Stu, you good for late September?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we will, at one point we will have a guest who shall Mark Littlejohn. I mean, Jamie, are you preparing questions for Mark? Because you love him, don't you? You love
Biggest
him.
fan. His biggest fan.
Like literally,
Yeah.
I think we should all just switch off and let Jamie and Mark have a conversation because
Oh, that could be
Yeah.
messy.
Starstruck.
yeah. But we will have a guest when we come back. So yeah, we want to say thanks for watching this one. What about a bit drunk?
Oh, can you wrap it up? I want a wee.
I'm trying to. You're normally the one who stops me from wrapping it up. I was waiting for you to jump in with something.
He just did.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Okay, thank you very much for watching. It's been great to see you again, even though
See you
we
later,
can't actually
guys.
see
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Try.
Bye.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Right.